this is an opportunity to brainstorm. Family-based recreation. Again, we talked about some of the huge benefits with starting with family-based recreation, and the biggest benefit is simply that you have the most control. So things, this is where you can try a bunch of stuff, and if it doesn't go well, that's okay, right? And you know what? It's this, like, your slogan here should almost be, we've had success because we started, right? We tried it. That's like your, get yourself the latte or have a glass of wine or whatever your reward for yourself is for doing difficult things. It shouldn't be that it went swimmingly. It should be that you got out there and tried it, even if you tried it for 10 seconds. That's what it's about, okay? So there are so many ways that you can do things as a family that allow you to start sampling what your child might naturally enjoy, right? What their personal interests might be. As simple as kicking a ball around the yard. Is your kid into balls? If not, soccer might not be the place to start, right? There are many places where you can get all kinds of secondhand sports equipment. The other thing I'll say about family-based recreation is this tends to be some of the most accessible, affordable options. So you can do a lot of the things I'm listing here at little to no cost, which is great, especially when you're trying and you don't know if your kid's going to like it. So there are tons of places you can go to get secondhand sports equipment that you could just kind of have on hand, try it out as a family, see if you like it. You could probably borrow it. I mean, it's COVID, so, Lysol wipe it down and everything. But yeah, it doesn't have to be a big investment here. So when I say kick a ball around the yard, you think kick a ball around the yard, but this could also be throw a baseball around the yard. This could also be grab a couple hockey sticks and try hitting a ball back and forth out on the street. Any type, grab a football, throw that thing around, grab a Frisbee, get some equipment that's cheap and easy to get your hands on, try it out in the backyard. Rent a canoe. I'm just like, this is my list of things where I was like, what are all the things I can think of? So again, there are, until I started doing this work and really making this a focus, I actually didn't realize how many, I always thought of canoeing as a family activity, which is great. But if this is one you try as a family and your child likes it, there are many opportunities in the community to join a community-based version of this. So there are lots and lots of canoe kayak clubs. And what's interesting is, we've done several events with canoe kayak clubs around the province. So I've seen several clubs that are very, very open and interested in being more inclusive. So, being on the water is a whole other thing. It's really a totally different experience than playing soccer or being in a swimming pool. And that's just something you may not have thought of before that might be interesting to try. And again, you can usually, if you rent something, it can usually be quite an affordable experience as well. Okay, going to a public skate. Where I live, they have toonie skates, so you can go for $2, super affordable. They have rentals available, so you don't even have to buy the stuff. What I will say is, I have told this story about skating before, but skating in particular, just think about the experience from your child's perspective. And this is an activity where I really feel strongly that if you try it once and it doesn't go well, try it again later. Don't think that they're never gonna like skating. Skating from your child's experience, their perspective is, we show up in this place, it's echoey, and then I have to put these things on my feet, and you have to tie them really tight for them to work properly. So they're not super comfortable, and then I try to stand up and they're really wobbly, and then you take me out to another surface that's even more unstable, and if I fall, it's quite hard and cold. Skating is a skill where it takes a few attempts to get to the point where it's fun. But once kids get it and it's fun, it's amazing. It's just a totally different way of moving. And at Canucks Autism Network, we run skate programs, skate lessons, fewer now, but a couple. And it's just amazing to see that if you take your time, I'm not about forcing kids to do stuff. I'm not about dragging them kicking and screaming. If you take your time, patience, one little baby step at a time, And you know, we've had kids who come to like a few series of lessons and then they just get it. And then it's amazing because their face is like, wow, this is so fun. And they're just, so it's one of those things where it can be very difficult to get started, but if you have the patience, it can be really fun there's a big payoff at the end. Public swimming, great. So if you're thinking about getting your child involved in swimming lessons, pools are extremely sensory heavy environments. So very, you know, lots of noise going on, lots of weird echoes, lots of weird lighting in pools. It's not a bad idea to do a little bit of a trial run to see how your child responds to the environment. Again, if you can be patient and take your time, this is something that, you know, many kids really enjoy swimming once they kind of feel comfortable in the environment. Some love it right off the bat. I added try bouldering. That's again, sort of an unconventional idea, but I know lots of kids who like to climb. So if you can put them in a place where it's all about climbing, it's pretty cool, and it can be a big success. So we had an event recently, probably 2 years ago now, and yeah, we had the opportunity to work with a few local climbing gyms, and we've run some climbing programs. And it's another activity that is individual. So I'm on the climbing wall. There's no pressure. It's just about me, right? It's just about my trip up the climbing wall. But it can also be a social experience. So there's other folks around. I'm part of something. There's a community here, but there's less pressure because it's individual. So that's one you might not have thought of. Hiking. If you're tuning in from British Columbia, many of you will have many wonderful opportunities to just get out there and walk as a family, which is, again, free and can be really good exercise as well. Street hockey, I already kind of talked about. Bike riding, great. Bike riding, again, is a whole other thing in terms of you have to think about where you are and safety and all those types of things. But, you know, if you have a lacrosse box or something like that close to your house, that's a great place to take your kid out if they're learning how to ride a bike, because it has walls, it's contained, it's very safe. You can work on some of your safety stuff before you take the kid elsewhere. Cross-country skiing, that is definitely an activity that falls under the vigorous activity list. And to be honest, I think that list is the hardest to get. What are those activities that really get your kid out of breath? I told you at the beginning, my parents dragged me cross-country skiing as a child, and I hated it. But now I really love it. So again, maybe you're planting seeds with kids, and it's something that you'll try, and they may or may not like right now, but they might like later. And I'm sure you've got other ideas. So all I would ask you to do right now is have a look at your handout. We just gave a bunch of ideas. Think for yourself in your situation or with families you're supporting. What are a couple of activities that you could try? Maybe things that you've tried before and you're like, oh, we should do that again. Or things that you'd never thought of to try that now you're thinking, that could actually be worth getting out and having a go. Okay? So another important question here, this is the next one on your handout, is who else can you get involved to support your child? So I asked you the question on the Mentimeter last time about where would you find physical activity goals? And as I said, this is a journey. It can be difficult, it can be tiring, and the more you can involve your village, whatever that means for you, the more success you're likely to have and that your child is likely to have. So who else is in your village that you can skillfully enlist to help your child be active? And I think creativity is the limit here. Some of you will be blessed with families who include people like a cousin that's quite sporty and might be willing to get out there and play with your son or daughter. Nieces or nephews that you might have that you can encourage or just suggest that they go out with your son or daughter and try some of these things, like try skating, try swimming, go for a walk together. Aunts and uncles, who knows, okay? If you're lucky enough to live in a neighborhood where there's other kids and it's a fairly nice, safe street, you have that wonderful blessing of being able to just try to get out there with the neighborhood and do things together. Certainly, if you have a home-based team that involves people I really encourage you to have this conversation with your team about how are we supporting this child to learn these critical life skills. I've talked to several families about this through my work at Canucks Autism Network. And it's interesting because a lot of folks, and this is totally fair, when you have a young child, you're really focused on those key skills, right? You're really focused on helping your child learn to use the toilet. You're really focused on helping your child learn to eat a bigger variety of foods, to play nicely with other kids, all those extremely important skills. Interestingly, if your child doesn't move that much, it's going to be really hard for them to sit down with you and work on those skills. So I have had families who say to me that their approach is actually the reverse, that they have prioritized finding ways to help their child get safe physical activity so that they can have more success in all of those very important learning environments that they're in. And that's interesting, right? So we know that things like attention and focus improve with physical activity. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir for many of you who know that you do better sitting down to work on something if you've had that opportunity to burn off some steam. So think about that in your home-based planning. And I would say the same holds true for school. So although it's critically important that kids are at school learning what they need to learn, and this is true of all children, by the way, how can we build in movement breaks so that kids can get up, get active, do something that's really going to help them then to sit down again and focus, okay? So, for a second here, think to yourself, who can you get involved to support your child? And this is our next question on the handout here. If you take this all on yourself as mom or dad to make sure that your child gets physical activity, it's too much. It's a lot. You already have a lot that you're thinking about as a parent, like all the other goals that you're working on to support your child. The more we can build some people around you who can support this, maybe people who you haven't called on for other things. So maybe like those sporty cousins or nieces or nephews, or if you have an aunt or uncle involved, grandma or grandpa, maybe they can take the child to some activities. That's great. So spread around as much as you possibly can.